Today we have a massive review, like large format massive. It's the new GFX 50S2 from Fujifilm. Now, I had the opportunity to take this into the mountains for a landscape shoot in the worst possible weather conditions. And in this video, I will tell you how it did. Hey, what's up guys? Noel here. I'm back after almost 6 months or more than 6 months of not posting anything for this show or for this channel. I was trying to comment a bit and reply to comments, but that was just it. I had to rethink how I do the show to make it more exciting and less tedious in terms of the production and post-production process. One of the new changes would be the opening billboard or the opening graphics for the title screen for Hammerhead Gearhead. It's shorter now and sweeter. But let me know in the comments which one you prefer, if you like this new one or you like the old one. So put them in the comments and I want to hear your thoughts. Plus, there are a lot of new things that's going to happen in the show format-wise and tone-wise and a lot of other things. So please like, subscribe, and crush that notification bell. So earlier this month, Fujifilm lent me one of their prototype GFX 50S2s for a global campaign. 2 weeks before that, they asked me if I had a personal project that they can support for that campaign and using this camera, and coincidentally I did. It's called Fragile Kingdom. I wanted to start it, and it's all about showcasing the beauty and the fragility of protected areas in the Philippines that are very vulnerable. And it's a combination of landscape, wildlife, and documentary, and the GFX 50S2 actually fit the bill. The next task was figuring out which area that I should cover first. And at the top of the list, of course, is Masungi Geo Reserve, which is a protected area. And it's known for its limestone formations, and it is under threat from illegal logging and land grabbing. So what better way to showcase the beauty of Masungi than with the GFX 50S2? A few caveats and disclaimers before we get into this review. So while Fujifilm did commission me to take photos using this camera and produce a campaign video, they aren't paying me for this review. In fact, this review is an afterthought. I realized after shooting it, the campaign, submitting everything, that maybe I should have a review on my show. So I asked them and they let me have the camera for a few more days for this shoot, and they let me loose. So I'm doing this as objectively and honestly as I can. Second, by the time I was editing the photos from the shoot, there still wasn't any update for Adobe Camera Raw. So most of the photos you'll see here are based off of the JPEGs. So this has a significant effect on the quality, and I'll explain later and you'll be surprised on, well, I don't want to jump the gun. So we'll talk about that in a bit. So let's get to the specs. The GFX 50S2 has a 51.4 megapixel large format sensor, and it integrates the high-speed image processing engine X Processor 4. It boasts an improved autofocus system with an enhanced refresh rate for more accurate face and eye detection and quicker focus despite being a large format sensor with shallow depth of field. It also has a 5-axis in-body image stabilization that provides up to 6.5 stops of anti-shake advantage and vibration reduction. 6.5 stops, that is the highest out of all the GFX cameras. It also has a new compact form factor weighing approximately 900 grams, equivalent to that of full-frame cameras. It measures 104.2 millimeters high and 87.2 millimeters deep. There are other amazing features like the Pixel Shift multifunction that allows you to produce 200 megapixel DNG images. The GFX 50S2 retails for $3,999. For this project, these are the accessories that I used with the GFX 50S2. The first would be this universal L plate from Pro Media Gear. I needed an L plate for the GFX 50S2 so that I can easily transition between landscape and portrait when I shoot landscapes. And since the GFX 50S2 was still a prototype, there was no specific L plate made for it just yet. Next would be this GXP ball head from Acrotech. So I got the idea from Dan Carr from Shuttermuse. It's amazing. It's a 3-in-1. It's a ball head, it's a panning head, and it's a pseudo gimbal. And it's quite pricey, but I think it's worth the investment. I could not use filters, so for that I used the advanced kit from Nisi, specifically the 6-stop and 10-stop ND filters, and the 3-stop graduated neutral density, and of course the circular polarizer. And finally, my carbon fiber Peak Design tripod. We were hiking 2 to 4 hours a day, as I said, and the lighter the tripod, the better it is for us. Now, to better appreciate this review, let's talk about Masungi Georeserve. Masungi Georeserve is a conservation area in the southern Sierra Madre mountain range in Baras, Rizal. Established in 1996, it has since been able to secure more than 2,000 hectares of land for rehabilitation and reforestation, planted more than 60,000 native trees, and established 12 kilometers of monitoring trails and ranger outposts. In order to help fund conservation efforts, Masungi also relies on ecotourism, centered on stunning 60 million year old limestone formations, and they established 2 routes, Discovery Trail and Legacy Trail, both taking visitors through the Eco Park. Masungi Georeserve faces a lot of threats from illegal logging and land grabbing, among others, and these threats are real. Just 2 weeks before our visit, 2 rangers were shot during patrol, one through the neck and another got hit on the head. Fortunately, both survived and charges have been filed. Despite these challenges, and you even had COVID and bad weather on top of it, Masungi was still inclined and even excited to work with us on this project. So they generously assisted and collaborated with us throughout the 5 days of shooting. That was 2 to 4 hours of hiking each single day. When I was first briefed for the project, I was told that the body of the GFX50S2 is exactly like, if not identical, to that of the GFX100S. Now, having a large format camera the size of a full frame camera is a big plus. Now, mind you, I have nothing against bigger cameras. I actually like heavier, bigger cameras. The only problem is that when it gets to check-in and hand carry, then it's much of a challenge. By itself, the camera wasn't heavy. In fact, the L plate was making the weight and the bulk more obvious. But if you factor in all the other lenses and the weight that we were carrying, plus we were hiking 3 to 4 hours a day, you do start to feel the weight. But still, it wasn't a problem for me. It was also very sturdy and robust, and I'll get to that in a bit. But what I loved about this camera would be the ergonomics. If you see here in the top view camera, the grip is big and it's enough to support the weight and the bulk of this camera. And also, if you pair it with the L plate, it was so comfortable to use. So I was using it like this, as if I had an underwater tray, and it was such a breeze to operate. What I've come to appreciate with this camera is the weather sealing. So for those 5 days, we were hiking and it was raining. So we were really drenched for the most part. And in fact, my MacBook Pro conked out because of the fog, humidity, it shorted out. But this monster, it kept on going. And I highlighted this in the video where I was explaining that even if it was raining, we were still shooting. Obviously, where this camera shines is image quality, and that's a given. You know, it's a large format camera and you capture so much more detail with each photo, and that is important for me as a conservation photographer. The more truth of the moment I capture, the better for my photo stories. And I highlighted this in my video where I said that the colors are very vibrant, they pop out, and the image just really draws you in. With this camera, the image quality will always be superior because you're using a large format sensor. The colors just pop and the image draws you in because of all the detail in the photo. But it stays truthful to the scene. And mind you, I was using JPEGs for the edit. So what you're seeing now are the JPEG edits of the photos. Of course, I'll get to editing the raw file soon, but for now, let's appreciate how crisp the detail is, how sharp and how vibrant the colors are already. Just as impressive would be the dynamic range. So Masungi Georeserve is a mix of peaks, forests, and limestone caves, and we were dealing with varying light conditions as the day progressed. So having a camera that was able to adapt to that was crucial. As you can see, there's deep tonality and texture from the highlights and the shadows as you bring them in, and there's really minimal noise when shooting in low light, and we had a lot of that. Another thing I got to test out with this camera is the in-body image stabilization. So that's 6.5 stops of vibration reduction, higher than all the other large format cameras of Fujifilm. And I have to tell you, it really worked well. The thing with Masungi Georeserve is that not all vantage points are on firm ground. So there were a lot of wobbly bridges, or I just had to shoot handheld. I didn't have time to set up a tripod, and sometimes the wind was really strong. And as you can see with these photos, it's quite sharp, and the in-body image stabilization was really working to my advantage. I'd like to take this opportunity to segue to the lenses that I used for this project because I have to commend them. They're absolutely amazing pieces of glass. The first would be this 23mm. It's an 18mm equivalent for full frame, and I use it for all those tight spaces and all those wide angle shots. Next is a zoom lens. So this is the 32 to 64, which is a 25 to 50 full frame equivalent. And this is my all-around lens for panorama, for the shots with the Rangers, and this is also what I was using to photograph Anne and Billy for the portraits. I think if I was only stuck with one lens and had to choose one, it would be this one. This is my favorite lens for the GFX 50S2. Focusing for landscape photography was really a no-brainer. I was using a combination of back button focus, then locking it, and then switching to manual focus. The focusing also excelled in low light and obviously in portrait photography because that's what it's made for, but also surprisingly for some of the action shots when the Rangers were planting or replanting the seeds in that reforestation site. Where I experienced some difficulty would be in wildlife photography. So I was trying to take photos of the kingfishers, the resident kingfishers in Masungi, and it was a struggle. So I do know that I didn't allocate enough time for it, probably just an hour or two, because those photos were not exactly priority. And I do know, granted, that large format cameras are not meant for that type of high action photography, sports and wildlife. So you really couldn't take anything away from the camera when it regards to those kinds of situations. What I also loved about this camera was the battery life. So for those 5 days of shooting, for the most part, I think 4 days, I never had to change batteries. Granted, I was only shooting around 200 to probably 300 photos or shots a day. It's still a welcome experience, to have that sort of uninterrupted flow of creativity. I think it was only on the 4th day that I had to change one very, very late in the day. But, the fact that I just had to change once, that's amazing. Also, I really liked how it also uses the same battery as the X-T4. So aside from this GFX 50S2, we had two X-T4s. One was shooting behind the scenes photos and another was shooting video. So it was very easy for us to swap because we were using the same batteries, and that really worked to our advantage in terms of our workflow. What truly excited me for this project was that it was completely outside my comfort zone. So I'm used to wildlife photography underwater. Of course, I do documentary work, but not landscapes. So this camera helped me power through. And what I absolutely loved about it would be the image quality, the dynamic range. I mean, that's a given. But also, I've come to appreciate the build, the weather sealing, the in-body image stabilization. That all worked to my advantage. I mean, I always don't have the opportunity to shoot with on firm ground. So normally I'm on boats. So having 6.5 stops of in-body image stabilization for a large format camera is crucial to getting those sharp images. The battery life is also exceptional. The fact that I only had to change batteries on one day. I mean, who likes that? I hate changing batteries. It just disrupts the momentum and the flow. So being able to shoot continuously for an entire day for the most part, that was so much fun. Of course, I have to note that the focusing is not suited for wildlife photography. But again, large format cameras are not made for wildlife or action shots. So what would probably happen is that I would use this for everything else and a different camera for underwater and for wildlife. The other thing in terms of the build of this camera, if you notice right here, the LCD screen, so it flips up, which was great when I was shooting low, and flips down, which was perfect when I was shooting high. What I would have wished for was for it to be fully articulating, like turning this way, because there were some instances wherein the spots were really so tight that having an LCD that flipped out that I could see from here would have really helped a lot, and trying to perfect the shots that I was taking. But unfortunately, I couldn't do that. And there you have it. That is my review of the GFX 50S2. Now, I admit I wasn't able to touch on other features like video, but that is mainly because I didn't use that for the project. So maybe I should have another video later on that's more comprehensive and exhaustive, but let's see. But for now, please leave your thoughts in the comment section. I want to know if the GFX 50S2 meets your expectations or maybe it doesn't. So I want to hear that. I also have content on TikTok featuring the GFX 50S2. So watch out for that. It's probably out or probably in a few days. If you want to see more of my work, visit my Instagram, Noel Guevara Photo. For the next episode of Hammerhead Gearhead, we will be featuring and reviewing the Sandmark Pro mini lights, the RGB and the bicolor. So again, subscribe and watch out for that. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next video.